Hey there. So, the last video I just briefly talked a little bit about the fact that reincarnation was true. And so I figured it might be timely to do another video specifically talking about that, talking about reincarnation. See, I know it to be true because God has allowed me to know that in this life. And in that gain a certain continuity between some of the lives I've had. And to then understand what I'm supposed to do in this life a lot. Basically. Well, a lot, basically. I'm not sure how to put this into words. What my experiences are with this. But I know reincarnation is true. And it's unfortunate that we have a society that is so closed-minded on the idea that it's not even up for mainstream discussion, you might say. There's no, everybody kind of dismisses it culturally, as it seems, as what is true. Culturally, we entirely dismiss even the possibility of reincarnation. And then we miss the opportunity to discover if or not that's true. Because you see, there's a lot of evidence that shows that a lot of children have pre-life memories of a life previous to the one that they're in. A lot of them have even gone so far as to identify specifically who they were in their previous lives. And there is evidence. It's impartial. A lot of times it's anecdotal. Quasi-scientific, because they've done, like, some guy was sticking some people in the head, in the brain with a probe of some kind, and then brought forward an ability of a person to speak a foreign language that they didn't speak in this life, but they might have spoken in a previous life. And then so somehow or another, the memories those spiritual memories are kind of encoded. They travel with the soul. They really do. Hence why Alzheimer's, they have that moment of clarity. So you do indeed have like a spiritual context. The truth of all that is that there is a spiritual reality. There is evidence that shows the possibility of reincarnation to be, a reality. So, but I got to tell you now, the truth of this is, see, life is this consciousness we experience in this compartmentalized state. This is a process of creation of unique individuality. Just by the reality of a life experience, you're by far more uniquely individual at the end of it than you are at the beginning of it. And then the very fact that you're isolated in time and space, your consciousness, you cannot, like, at this point in the creation process, communicate telepathically, even though that is going to become a reality of the human experience somewhat soon. As extremely out there as this sounds, I've had experiences with that as well. And I think I do it a lot of times because I seem to be connected to the spirit world in that way, and that is why I can also do that kind of communication on the earth to someone still alive even. So yes, I can experience. See, I kind of talked about that in my Tumblr vlog, some of my history with that, as far as like telepathy and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really want to go into that here because it's just going to make me sound nuts, as if this doesn't already. But so reincarnation is a reality, because if you really consider that this is a process, this is a creation process of unique individuality. And therefore, the logic of that kind of mandates a repeat experience. Because you see, to truly experience the craft of individuality and creation, you have to be connected to the true you of you that you are as a true individual. You see, you cannot experience true love as someone you are not. And so if you are not living as the true person you really are in your heart, this experience is kind of not going to be as effective as it needs to be. And therefore, you may then require a return trip. until you actually do experience those moments when you are truly you, as God so created the unique individual you genuinely are in your heart, that you can then live a life of creation, of individuality. That you can then experience the craft of individuality through a life, a third-dimensional life experience in this environment. As the true you of you, then that is the real how this process will really work for you. That's basically how the momentum of the universe will work for you, rather than against you, as if you are the true you of you in life, rather than a conformed individual in opposition to your true self. And so that's why there's a lot of times it's necessary for a repeat experience for many people, but also the fact that we will experience an evolution of society as well as an evolution of physicality. Our society will become more sophisticated, and in that is how we will grow. You see, because our society, this thing we interact with, is also the machine work of creation. And the connection of God upon us is like a hand upon a tool to do, at the same time, create the machine work of creation that then crafts him back a more unique tool by just the experience. Which is why it is necessary to then repeat that experience time and time again through different levels of creation that the machine work then advances it to. Society then grows and has a greater impact on the individual. Because look how much we know now that we didn't know before. See, we have a thing called science that unfortunately religion is in opposition to, that will be our key to leaving the planet and colonizing the universe, which is our destiny. So that we can then truly experience uniqueness in all of its variations in this universe. And that is the true craft upon us in that way. So if you can experience a life in every possible configuration that the universe can then render, imagine how complete a divine being you would then be at the end of that process. See? And that is why, logically then, now the universe makes sense. See? Our experience in it makes sense. Is because this is a process of creation of unique individuality, and this is why the continuum exists. This is why it is a potentially diverse environment of biological evolution, I suppose. Advancement in our being to where we actually can live so uniquely diverse from each other. That to live in all those environments and then bring them together in a single being over what is the distance, the time run of the continuum, how long it may run, which is like almost an infinity from this point. Imagine how sophisticated that universal society would then be, and how superior the individuals would then be at that time. And that's what it's going to take, is that kind of repeat craft, repeat experience. That's why reincarnation really is true. Some may skip millenniums, some may skip centuries, others may be the very next second, the very next life. And others, well, who's to say what's between you and God in the end? Because that is the private moment when God holds you at the center of the universe and gives upon you your uniqueness. So yes, reincarnation is true. shit. I gotta charge a fucking battery. Okay, I'll continue this video after the break. Hold on. So we're back. So before the break there, I was trying to figure out a way how I could work this into the lecture, so to speak, or whatever I could call these things. But okay, I made a reference to knowing who God was. As I knew him in antiquity, I know him today. I gotta tell you, I gotta kind of explain that to you now, as it seems like this. I just gotta explain it to you, I guess. Shit, this is the hard part. Well, some of the hard part. The way that God does things, yeah, for me, personally, and it's unique for me, because I'm the only one. I am unique in the way that you are all the same. But in that I am unique, and God has a way of, like, connecting to me in a unique kind of fashion. And what he did in this case was, and this was unique in this life experience, I had never had this happen before, and I haven't had it really happen since either. But it was like a thought brewed up from my subconscious, so to speak. But it didn't really brew up. It just kind of like I was ready for it. I just was kind of ready for it, but not ready. And then all of a sudden, there it was, a thought. And it wasn't a thought. It was a thought in the way that it was in my mind, but it wasn't a thought of my own. It wasn't also a memory from this life either. It was kind of a first-person narrative, though. And as I explored what this was, I knew that it was me in this narrative. I was the first person. However, I can get that across to you. But it was like it was from a previous. It was from a previous life, basically. And what it was it was like how I was being. It's like how God loaded me up with this huge kind of load, put me on the earth to deliver or to do something for him. That's what this load was about. It was an assignment, so to speak, a mission. And then as I was performing that, as I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, what I thought I was supposed to be doing, and that's kind of what I thought, maybe it was just, maybe I misinterpreted something. But as I was engaged in that, I was then like taken prisoner, mocked, and then executed. And from that first person narrative, I was able to then see how I felt about it right after that. Basically my soul, how my soul felt. And I felt very, extremely betrayed. Because you see, I knew who he was then, and then to know that this was him, and yet for him to say, not even, to just leave me to them, basically. And I guess the reason why he put that thing in my head, in that first person narrative, was so that I could then, through this distance of time, genuinely feel, in truth, how I truly felt then. And in that, allowed me to discover who I was then, and why I now have this kind of like tasking again, as it seems, to deliver another dogma. It's because reincarnation, and in that, validate reincarnation. I guess that's another thing I need to bring forward. Biggest thing I need to bring forward is that Christ was God on earth. Next thing I need to bring forward is that reincarnation is definitely true. All right then. that's it for now. We'll see what come up, what inspires me next. But it's starting to really kind of freak me out. See, like this God thing, like I know it just creeps me out so damn much because I know I've seen him. And I know he knows because we've communicated in person. And I know, and yet I don't know. I would hate to say that rapture's right around the corner because I know it isn't. Well, then again, that's what the whole mission now is, to redefine this shit. This stuff that's been put out, especially the Revelations part. That's another thing that we got to take out of the Bible. And maybe that's what this is. It's like I show you the real truth, the authority from God and all that. And then somehow this change is affected. Fuck, I gotta cut this off somewhere before this. And with that, see you next time.